I don't know how many times you've lived this. You stayed up all night, highlighted your notes with a purple marker, and thought you understood everything. Then, when you saw that exam paper, your brain completely froze, and you realized that all those hours of studying were just a cognitive illusion. This doesn't mean you're incompetent. It means you've fallen into a sneaky learning trap that all of us fall into. Now, I'm going to tell you about 3 mental mistakes even the smartest students don't notice, and 3 scientific mechanisms your brain uses to lock information into long-term memory. If you don't solve these secrets, no matter how much you study, you'll constantly be operating at 50% capacity. So, which mistake do you make the most? Take a second to think, because now we're going to see how these mistakes trick your brain. Let's dive into the first mechanism right away.
Thinking I know it, the lie of fluency. When you read your notes, everything feels so fluent. Your brain confuses the fluency of the information with understanding the topic. This is just an illusion of familiarity. You're only making the information easier to input, not easier to store. Your brain is basically trolling you. So, what's the solution? Force your brain to struggle. Active recall. You need to prove to your brain that you've genuinely learned. When you finish a topic, don't immediately take a test. Close the book and the notes and try to write down the main outlines of the subject on a blank piece of paper without looking. Where did you get stuck? That feeling of difficulty, just like a muscle tear, opens a new neural pathway in your brain. That feeling of strain is the only thing sending your brain the command, attention, this information is important, save it.
Trying to finish everything in one day? The marathon study. Staying up all night before an exam? You might think you worked hard, but the information's lifespan is limited to your short-term memory. A few days later, it vanishes as if you never studied at all. So what's the solution? Make forgetting your advantage. The spaced repetition mechanism. The famous Ebbinghaus forgetting curve shows us if you review information just as you're starting to forget it, you essentially give that information a lifetime guarantee. The rule? Review a topic you studied today with a quick test tomorrow, then again after 3 days, and finally after 1 week. But not by rereading, by testing yourself. This transfers the information to your brain's long-term storage area.
Always studying in the same place, sinking into the comfort zone. Studying at the same desk in the same room might feel comfortable, but your brain pairs the information with that specific chair, desk, or even the smell of the room. When you enter the exam hall, the environment changes and your brain panics, unable to retrieve the information. So what's the solution? Embrace chaos and liberate your brain. Free the information from being tied to a single location. Study sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes in the library, sometimes in the backyard. Even try changing your background music. Your brain learns to store the information independently of the context and accessible from anywhere, just like a fighter pilot needs to access information in any environment. Now you know. Smart students don't study more, they use their brain's software correctly. You now have the mechanisms that even the smartest students haven't realized they were missing. I used to think I worked hard too, until I realized the problem wasn't in the hours I spent at the desk, but in the operating principles of my brain. I no longer see learning as just reading textbooks, I see it as optimizing our brain's software. If you just watch this video and move on, you will fall into that first trap again tomorrow. Try one of these today. Close the topic and write down what you know on a piece of paper. Make active recall a part of your life. Share which trap you fall into the most in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to push your learning potential to the peak. See you in the next video.